long as possible.
FSU generally goes with about the same 11, a few minor adjustments, including in goal today. Mia Justice will get the start there.
Yeah, and for Florida State, you can see they're looking to attack. They're looking to push the pace. Their job here is to really try and score to make sure that they can make this game as easy for them as possible. A lot of names on there that can score.
All right, Miami and FSU all set here at Cobb Stadium. Florida State leads the all-time series 17-4, and they're 7-3 in Miami. The Canes will wear black uniforms tonight with orange numbers, and Florida State the second choice white, and away we go. Here at Cobb Stadium, Florida State, as I mentioned, their last 6 games have been a dominating team, outscoring their opponents 29-2.
And early on, you can see Miami just trying to be really patient and make it as easy for themselves to defend, make it predictable for Florida State. I assume we'll see a lot of this. Florida State likes to keep possession of the ball. They're not going to be in a hurry. They're very comfortable on the ball, and Miami's going to be comfortable defending, so it should be really fun.
Florida State, a few changes in their starting 11. What makes Florida State so dangerous offensively?
I think they just have so many different people that can contribute. They have a lot of different goal scorers this year. They have a lot of people that can get involved. They like to move players around, move the ball around, make sure that everybody's getting an opportunity to go forward and to put the ball in the back of the net. When you have a bunch of people that are able to do that, it makes you very difficult to defend and very difficult to beat overall.
They have dominated their opponents not only with goal scoring, but as we were seeing here early on, possession.
And if you're Miami right now, I know it's a minute and a half into the game, you haven't really touched the ball other than the kickoff, but this kind of possession from Florida State isn't going to beat you. Florida State's not crossing midfield. If you're Miami, you can be really content keeping them in front of you, winning 50-50 balls like that when they come, and then hoping to get off on a counter.
Jakob's daughter in a collision. Throw in from Florida State along the near sideline. EY. EY midfielder, a junior from Tokyo. Robbins been there for a long time. Florida State first chance on the attack. Deflected and then collected. Miami immediately under pressure. And that one a little too heavy, drifting across the end line.
And it's going to be important for Miami all night as Florida State gets into that final third, as they get close to the goal, to step up, close down space. It's fine when Florida State has the ball in their own half or around midfield to give them a little bit of time and space. But once Florida State gets into that final third and they can start thinking about the goal, and they have so many people that can score, Miami has to close down that space, make sure that they're not letting shots get back to Mel as best as they can.
Dagenais had a very nice season for the University of Miami. Got off to a great start, averaging over 5 saves a game. Florida State, the defending champs, 3-time champion. First-year head coach Brian Pensky from Tennessee. He inherited quite a situation.
Yeah, certainly did. A team that's coming off a national championship to come in and take over this squad with a lot of experience and a lot of playmakers is about as ideal as you can get.
Hitting, run off by EY. Florida State, 3 players on the attack, and Shell, a nice job getting back for Miami.
It's a good recovery, but Miami needs to stay patient back here defensively now. When Florida State gets up there and turns on the pressure, you have to stay composed and make sure that you're locked on your person, not letting Florida State get forward.
Florida State edging toward the box, pushing more numbers forward. Pitting there for Miami.
And I think what you're seeing here, Florida State now kind of moving into that final third, possession in the Miami half. This is a little bit more of what Florida State would expect out of the game. But Miami, again, the game plan needs to be, as they get closer to your goal, continue to stay solid defensively, stay organized, and have an understanding of who is supposed to do what as the ball comes into their zone.
Back to Justice, who gets the start today. Her 12th career game, just 3 games so far this season. 270 minutes for Florida State in goal. Florida State with a international flavor, players from all over the world, very veteran team.
It's good for Miami when they do win the ball, when they are able to get possession of it. It's really important to take advantage of these moments, try and keep possession, sting a little bit of what Florida State's looking to do when they have the ball, make Florida State work a little bit. If you're Miami, that's going to work in your favor. And as they continue to defend and think about being patient, even if it's higher up the field, when they do win the ball, how can they get forward quickly, but still also keep it?
Florida State unbeaten in their last 18 games, dating back to the final game of the 2021 regular season. Lead the country in scoring, nearly 4 goals per game, 3.6 goals per game. The winning streak is the second longest unbeaten streak in school history. Seminoles unbeaten through the first 9 games of this year, the 5th longest streak to start a season in school history.
Looks like we have a player down there.
Injured Florida State player. I think it was Clara Robbins, who is a 7th-year player.
Pretty rare, not something you see very often in any type of college environment for any sport, but with a COVID year, a medical red shirt, and an athletic red shirt, she's still here contributing to a team and brings a ton of experience with national championships under her belt and a lot of winning.
Shell, and throw in for Miami.
And when Miami does get possession here in the Florida State half, and especially in the Florida State final third, Miami's got to try and capitalize, right? We got to think about how is Miami going to put balls on net? How are they going to try and score? Not just defend. I mean, it is important to defend and keep Florida State out, but Miami does need to try and play on the front foot and get forward.
Florida State with some pinpoint precision passing on the advance.
The coaches of Miami yelling for their team to step up as the ball goes backwards, which is smart. You want to make sure that you're not just giving Florida State the space to come forward and attack. As much as they are dangerous going forward, you don't want to just give that to them. You want to make Florida State earn it. You want to make them try and go forward and still try and beat you.
EY. Florida State will play it back to Justice. The foot of EY. Shell perhaps fouled from behind. Nice takeaway by Miami, trying to create some offense out of their defense. And here comes a big opportunity for the University of Miami, Colin. That was Clara Robbins leading in on Shell from behind. Perhaps Miami had a step there.
Absolutely. And this is something, again, if you're Miami, it's been the game plan. You're going to be patient. You're going to defend. But when you do get those opportunities to take the ball, win 50-50 balls, and go forward, you got to make the most of it. And if you're Miami, you're most likely going to have a lot of chances on set pieces if you are able to win those 50-50 balls. So a good opportunity here for the Hurricanes to try and get on the board and put Florida State back a step.
Rusek, the junior from Warwick, New York. The first big chance for the University of Miami. Rusek with the chip, and just a little too heavy. Tried to lay it in there for the header, perhaps going for the far post.
Absolutely, it's a great ball. This is a nice driven ball in from Rusek, putting it in a spot that's really dangerous. And what you like here is you see all that space. Goalie gets caught, not sure, am I supposed to come out, am I supposed to stay? It's a dangerous ball. Miami not on the end of it, but a good opportunity.
Chloe O'Neill, the transfer from Villanova, just could not get there. Gilchrist plays it back. Now Brown tries to move it wide. Good first opportunity for the University of Miami.
And it's going to be those 50-50 balls right there that get played from the back line into the midfield with the Florida State players and their back toward the Miami goal. Those are the ones that Miami has to try and capitalize on.
Florida State plays it back to Gilchrist. Touch for the goalie. Justice sends it deep down the field, really relieving the pressure, putting Miami under pressure now. Good job of the Hurricanes quickly getting back in front of Dagenet.
You know, the great equalizer to high pressure from a team is a goalie that can do this, and to put the ball all the way to the other end of the field into the opposing box without a touch is really impressive. Miami defense being tested there.
That was some majestic goal kick there. Florida State sets up a corner kick for the Noles. Throw in for the Noles.
Good, relieves some pressure there. Good compact defending. But Florida State, that's what they want. They want those one-on-one situations with their playmakers. Let them go forward. Try and get the ball in the box where they have a lot of people running in to try and put it on net.
Florida State has Echegani, who's been a factor here early on. Now here comes the goal kick from Dagenet. Tries to get out toward the midline. Echegani plays it off. Perhaps looking to get it back.
Difficult for Miami. They need to try and win off of those goal kicks, any of those 50-50 balls in the midfield. If they are not able to win those and you get this talented Florida State team running at your back line with the defense backpedaling, probably not a good scenario for the Miami defense.
Echegani, a transfer from Mississippi State. ACC Player of the Week last week. Another one of the international players from London. University of Miami has survived the first 10 minutes here. Cobb Stadium. Played well.
Yeah, I think you're holding your own here. Florida State has had some chances, but I think you got to be happy with how compact you've been defensively, how patient you've been defensively. Definitely following the game plan that the coaching staff has put in play, but obviously a long way to go and a lot of work still ahead of you. And Florida State, you know, they're not going to panic if they haven't scored yet. They're happy to keep possession. They're happy to move the ball around and wait for the right opportunity to try and put the ball in the back of the net.
Their possession time, do you think they wear you down both mentally and physically?
Absolutely, and that's why, again, 12 minutes in now, if you're Miami, it's great. You're still tied 0-0. You've had a couple chances when you've turned Florida State over, but if you know, as Florida State does, that you're going to have the ball the vast majority of the game, you're not worried that 12 minutes in you haven't really scored. You haven't gotten near our goal or tested Melissa Dagenet yet.
Gilchrist, Nesbitt. Another Florida State player down, Jody Brown. Take that back, that's 18. That's Algoa, midfielder from Portugal. Algoa getting the start today for Florida State. Now Dagenet with a chance to put this one deep on the other end.
Anytime Miami has a chance for a free kick, a dead ball situation, that they have possession, you're going to look for them to kind of kill the game a little bit, to take their time, to not rush any opportunities, because when they do have possession, they need to value the ball.
Here's EY, played every minute against South Carolina earlier this year and Georgia. EY playing in her 45th game for Florida State.
Good pressure from Florida State on the Miami defense, forcing that turnover, and again running at the back line of Miami now.
Payne. Nice give and go. Quickly over for the University of Miami. Emma Tucker with a good hard defensive move.
And a good 50-50 challenge. Ref is seeing Florida State player coming in maybe a little aggressively, but in all honesty, this is just a good hard tackle from both players, both of them going shoulder to shoulder. Probably a no call in most scenarios, but Miami fortunate to win the ball there.
Good enthusiastic crowd here tonight at Cobb Stadium. Rivals meeting for the 22nd time. There's a crowd jammed in there, shoulder to shoulder. Florida State has won 7 times here in South Florida. Salas got locked up. Let's take another look at what happened here with Salas.
I think some confusion on the sideline of the ball going out or not. Both teams kind of staying still, but credit to Florida State for playing through it and Miami being a little slow there to react. And now Florida State with a free kick and an opportunity to test Melissa Dagenet.
Salas and Beata Olsen got tangled up, and now Dagenet with her first big test of the night from Florida State.
Miami trying to set a high line right on the 18 to give Melissa as much space as possible.
Chipped in, Dagenet has her hands on it and will quickly scoop it up. Good anticipation by Dagenet.
Smart to come out, and the reason you set a high line like that in line with your wall is to give your keeper that much room to come out and get the ball. When you have a keeper as strong and as smart as Melissa is, you want to give her that space to come in, collect the ball, and again, settle down this Miami team.
Taylor Shell quickly over to knock it out of play.
It's like referee bringing the ball back for a foul on the Hurricanes. Florida State will have possession here again. But I think the continued theme here in the first 16 and a half minutes of this game is anytime there's a 50-50 ball at midfield, whether it's in the air from either team, Miami needs to win those balls in order to relieve pressure. And every time they don't, Florida State's coming back at the Miami defense very quickly.
Here's Gilchrist for Florida State. Mentioned Florida State, expert at possessing the ball 65% of the time. They've held the ball this season. They average possessing the ball 65.9% of the game.
And part of what goes into that is not only being able to hit a precise ball, being able to find your teammates, but it's all the movement off the ball. It's all the movement that you can see. If you watch the Florida State team, they have different players going to different positions almost nonstop. And that makes it really easy to find a pass, but it also confuses the defense and opens up holes to turn and go forward.
Sophia Wynn with the throw in for Florida State. 17 and a half minutes have gone off the clock here in the first half at Cobb Stadium.
And again, anytime this ball gets out of the Miami half and back to the Florida State center backs, it's really important that Miami's going to have to step their lineup, not give Florida State the space that they want to go forward. But to FSU's credit, they're going to move around, they're going to find spaces. It's going to be a continued game of chess the entire night. Another kind of late tackle here from the midfield. And you appreciate those kinds of tackles as a coach because it shows that there's effort. You show that you want this, you're trying, but do need to be careful a little bit because any of those missed time tackles there in the midfield could cost a team, whether it's a card or a more direct free kick.
Dagenet cradles that one. Dagenet got off to such a tremendous start this season. Not concede a goal across her first 419 minutes. Leads the ACC in saves with 49, 5.4 per game.
And an impressive run to start that year for a Miami team that you know coming into this season is going to focus on their ability to defend. And knowing that you're going to defend, to still have that kind of a shutout streak as a goalkeeper, especially against some very stiff competition from the SEC, is really impressive for this team.
Hurricanes 0-3 in conference play. First 3 conference games were all on the road.
Again, we're going to bring this ball back here. It's a smart foul from the Miami defenders here because, again, you have a Florida State player just running directly at the back line on their heels, not trying to take the player out, not trying to hurt her, but it is a smart foul to slow Florida State down, and then if you're Miami, to get your team behind the ball.
Echegani, again, was trying to split the Miami defense.
She's been, every time she has the ball at her feet, she's been a problem going forward to goal.
Gilchrist with a chip. Nicely collected. Jakob's daughter there for Miami to intercede.
One of the complexities in defending, as Miami is, and defending with basically 10 people if you include the goalkeeper, is anytime you do win the ball defensively, it's really hard to find an outlet. It's really hard to find somebody to go forward. And Jackie Korwitz up top is trying to be that outlet, but when a team is defending and Florida State loses it, they're putting pressure on Miami. It is difficult to try and find somewhere out, which is, again, what makes something Florida State does so dangerous.
Hurricanes have lost a couple of heartbreakers on the road. 1-0 to Louisville, 3-1 Pittsburgh, 3-1 to Syracuse.
Some nice interplay from Florida State along that far sideline, a lot of one-touch passing, give and goes, and again, we're talking about this movement from Florida State off the ball, and the possession's great, but this is what we call some meaningful possession, getting into a dangerous spot, earning a set-piece corner, which we talked about is an area that Florida State has capitalized on a lot this year.
Corner for Florida State. Algoa will give it a go. Maria Algoa out of Portugal. Nicely chipped in there and punched away by Dagenet. EY sends it right back to Dagenet.
It's a solid enough punch from Melissa. It gets the job done. I'm sure if you asked her, she would say it's got to be a little stronger and a little bit wider as she goes and commands her box to get the ball out. But it does the job. It gets out of the 18. Miami steps up and gives Melissa space to then catch the next ball.
"21 minutes into the match. No score here in Coral Gables.
Some nice build up here from Miami out of the back. Instead of going long, deciding to play it short on the goal kick, they decide to work the ball side to side, and they earn themselves a throw-in in Florida State's final third. If Miami can settle down and do a little bit more of that, kind of put Florida State back on their heels, it might be a little bit more dangerous for Florida State, so that's a good moment for Miami.
Hurricanes with an opportunity, and right there is Justice. Didn't get enough on that shot.
But another example of Miami winning an initial 50-50 ball off the header, Jackie being in the right place to try and put that ball on net. That's all you can ask for. That's a tough ball to kind of put on net, coming back across your body a little bit behind you. So good sequence there for Miami, starting with that goal kick leading up to that shot.
Horowitz, 5 career goals for the University of Miami. 1 this season. Jakob's daughter for Pitty. Echegani knocked down hard. Taylor Shell and Echegani.
It's a hard tackle. It's a big touch from Florida State. It's something that Taylor's coming in. She thinks she's going to win that ball, and she probably does get a little bit too much there, or not enough of the ball. But it's the kind of pressure, again, that you as a coach, you're looking at this and saying, there's the fight that I want to see from my team.
Echegani and Taylor Shell. Jakob's daughter, some fancy work.
And over the last couple minutes, you've seen Miami try to get a little bit more of a foothold in this game, trying to keep the ball a little bit and do some things. And that's good. It takes some pressure off of your defense for a little bit when you are able to keep the ball. So again, when Florida State starts to get this, your defense is a little bit refreshed. You have an idea of what you're trying to do defensively. But Miami, anytime they do get the ball and they can keep it, it's a win for them, and especially if they can do it going forward positively.
Gilchrist is a freshman from Colorado with another touch right here. Freshman defender, one of the top players in the state of Colorado. Her dad played tennis at Cornell. Mom was an equestrian athlete. Nesbitt. Gilchrist tries to pinpoint right into the middle. 3 Hurricane players there. EY leaves it wide. Etchigini. Back to EY. Pitting being watching.
Referee giving advantage here. It's a good sequence from Florida State. A lot of player movement, a lot of solid ball movement. Florida State a little upset that they're not getting the free kick there, but referee decides we're going to give advantage here because Florida State still has an opportunity to go to goal. They get through. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it's really good play from Florida State.
Minutes in. 2 shots, both by Miami so far tonight. 1 shot on goal by the Hurricanes. 5 fouls by Miami, 2 so far by Florida State.
And if you're Miami, 25 minutes in, I think you take this. You're happy. You've followed the game plan that the coaching staff has put in place. You're not panicking. Melissa hasn't really been extremely tested, a couple of bit on the set pieces, but nothing from the run of play, which is encouraging. And if you're Florida State, just because you haven't scored doesn't mean you're not dominating the game. They have kept possession. They've done a great job of keeping it. They've tried to get dangerous a few times, and they've gotten into the final third of Miami pretty well. But, you know, they'll continue to work. They'll continue to keep possession and see what happens.
Here is Shell looking for an opening. Try to lay it inside for Korowitz. Taylor Shell, a very experienced player. One of the great goals in Hurricane soccer history, a game winner against the Florida Gators with the luminous lime boots tonight.
Always a highlight to beat an in-state rival, right? Especially a game winner. And another long ball from Justice that just kind of relieves pressure, gets Florida State up the field where they can try and keep, again, more meaningful possession. And it draws a foul, dead ball, set piece here. Florida State chance to go to goal.
85 degrees at kickoff. Humid day in South Florida, overcast. Dagenet will be tested again here in the 27th minute. EY from Tokyo. Right next to her, Algoa.
And again, Miami with the high line standing on their 18-yard box. You can see Melissa already out standing on her 6 to try and close that gap as the ball comes in.
EY now Algoa. Deflected by Miami. Shell looking for an outlet and an exit route for Miami.
And this is, if you're Miami, this is the opportunity.
Seemed like they had a chance there, but both passes were a little bit soft, a little bit behind.
A little bit, but that's part of when you try and counter and you try and go the other way quickly. You're going to have a little bit greater error from time to time in those passes, but you do like the intensity of trying to go forward when there is a turnover.
Pitting tried to send it forward for Jakob's Dart.
And again, you can hear the Miami coaching staff yelling at their team to step up. Ball's in the Florida State defensive third. The entire team is stepping up, and if you're Florida State, you get organized, you start to possess the ball, and you get that attacking movement all around so you can find those passes.
Edwards shadowing Florida State. Here come the Noles again on the advance just outside the box.
Lovely little give and go.
Pitting gets a foot on it for Miami. Good battle there with Jakob's Darter back to Pitting. On to Edwards.
And now as the counterattack is not on, can Miami keep possession? Can they take some of Florida State's attacking pressure away for just a little bit? But Florida State quick to win the ball back. It's a trend you're seeing in soccer a lot today where teams want to press the ball high. They want to put a lot of pressure on opposing teams in their defensive third, in their midfield. The idea being if you win it back in a dangerous spot, you can go to goal a lot quicker.
Salas for Miami from Raleigh, North Carolina got a foot on it, then knocked down. EY out of the back. Jakob's Darter surrounded by 2 white jerseys. Threads a pass for Korowitz. For Pitting, just across the midline.
Dangerous giveaway down the middle of the field.
Up the right flank, looking for Florida State, looking to get to that far right channel with an opportunity here. Can there be a cross? No, too far.
And you see a little bit of frustration there from Florida State, from Brown. She wanted the ball played earlier. She wanted it into space. There was an immediate chance on that turnover where the ball could have gone in. But again, if you're Florida State, you're going to keep possession. You're going to continue to do what you do. And if you're Miami, you can't have those types of turnovers. You can't give the ball away in the middle of the field and, again, have Florida State running right at you.
4 new players in for Miami. Payne comes in for Nesbitt for Florida State. 30 minutes into the match and no score. Florida State, the highest scoring team in the country, and Miami has held them scoreless so far for the first 30 minutes.
Definitely a battle of strengths. Miami likes to defend. They've got the goalkeeper for it. Florida State likes to go forward and score goals. But Miami so far hanging tough. Florida State with some fresh legs, going to look probably for a little bit more movement up top, a little bit more movement among their front 3, 4, 5 players, and probably a little bit more positive possession. And if you're Miami, the fresh legs are there to help defend, to help stay patient, to help make sure that everything you are doing defensively continues to go the right way.
Long one by Miami. Morgan on the run. Hurricanes throwing everything they have defensively at Florida State, but it's going to be a heavy lift here.
And you can see here a couple seconds into these subs for Florida State, the possession in the midfield is a little different. They get the ball, and instead of that pass going into the center mid, looking to go back to a defender or a goalkeeper, she's turning and looking to play the opposite side to try and get an outside backer or a midfielder going forward. A little bit more positive, a little bit more of an understanding of, hey, we do need to get forward, we do need to score. Possession doesn't mean anything if you're not scoring goals.
Miami's first 11 for the first 30 minutes played with a lot of intensity. 4 new players have come on, and they can't afford to drop the intensity level.
And that's one of the most important things as a sub in any sport, but especially in soccer. You see that group of 11 that starts putting in the work against one of the best teams in the country. When you come in as a sub, you want to make an impact, and you definitely don't want to let down that group of 11 that started the game, part of what makes it such a fun team sport. So you come in, you want to be positive, you want to make sure that you're impacting the game in the right way and not going against what the team before you did or what the coaching staff has put in place.
Florida State trying to march it down the field. Nice takeaway by Megan Morgan for Miami. Morgan to the middle of the field. Nobody there. Pitting trying to sneak up. Justice with a little chip. EY from Tokyo will get there. EY in her 50th, making her 45th game at the collegiate level.
See a little bit of the spacing right now. It's a little bit big midfield and defense for Miami. We're disconnected. They're now back together. And a good opportunity there for Florida State, really trying to test Mel. Couldn't get it on goal, but it's a really great opportunity from, again, someone that has been keeping Miami very on their toes all night.
Etchkini has a chance here with the left foot, just skied it over the top. Just trying to get around Cerna.
And she has a ton of skill. She is somebody that Florida State throughout this entire game has said, let's get the ball to. She has scored 6 goals on this year, leading the team. Luckily for Miami, it looks like she's getting off the field right now. But she has been the most dangerous player for Florida State tonight.
Yep. 50th game, transfer from Mississippi State, from London. Korowitz doing a good job fighting for it. Here comes Felton. Nice stop and go for Morgan. Morgan trying to get loose. Megan Morgan, she's got a good left foot. Morgan off the left foot. Nice save by Justice. Nobody there for the follow-up for Miami.
Very positive spell there for Miami. Good win in the midfield from Jackie. Midfield keeps it, gets it wide to a winger who does what she does. and Miami getting another good opportunity, but a solid save.
Cerna in a good one-on-one battle, coming back the other way, looking for space. Cerna being tailgated all the way down the field for Korwitz. Cerna in between two Florida State defenders.
But a very positive spell right now for Miami, keeping the ball, winning one-on-one, and it's unfortunate. Maybe the broadcaster's jinx playing it out of bounds.
That was a really good attack by Miami and a great play here by Megan Morgan. Mentioned that good left foot she has.
A nice ball whipped into the box, but great save from Justice coming out, punching it away, and no one in the midfield following up for Miami, but a good opportunity for the Canes.
Into the 35th minute of the first half. Gilchrist off the right foot. Nicely collected along the near sideline. Bissell and a foot race. Cerna for Miami after Llewellyn was there. Pitting the freshman, perhaps knocked down from behind. Referee says play through.
It's the second time Miami's been a little slow to react, expecting a call from the referee, whether it's out of bounds or a foul. Just another good lesson. Always remember to play the referee's whistle. Stay focused.
Robbins to Payne and plays it off. Flynn. Haven't really mentioned her name much tonight. Always in the starting lineup, one of the consistent performers for Florida State. Lauren Flynn.
Especially along that back line. We talk a lot about the Florida State offense and how many goals they score, but when you look at the fact that they've given up less than 10 goals on this season, it's a real tribute to the keeper that they have, to their back four, and how solid they play.
Morgan again with long stride, looking to get across the midline. Being tailgated and sends the ball down into open space.
And a little confusion. Korwitz expecting the ball to her feet so they can keep possession. Morgan trying to play the ball forward, trying to get to goal. Something that Miami will talk about, I'm sure, at halftime of when they do get possession on that counter. What are they really trying to do? What are the moments that they're looking for to actually attack, or the moments to keep the ball in possession?
And how much confidence does Florida State have in Gilchrist, a freshman, on a very veteran team, a national championship team? Gilchrist from Colorado on that back line, a really nice distributor.
Yeah, it speaks a lot to the talent that this team has. I don't think a team that's a reigning national champion with all the veterans and the team coming back that they have puts somebody on the field if they don't think she can contribute and they don't think that she can make an impact. So it's a credit to her from Florida State's standpoint that she can be a playmaker for them and contribute to this team. But of course, it's your first college season. You're going to continue to get tested. Rivalry game on the road. Something new for her to experience.
Lilia Horton comes in for Florida State. Good battle there with Robbins. Payne plays it wide.
An opportunity for Miami to get organized, make sure that marks are covered, the back line is set, midfield knows their responsibility.
Delaney Brown has entered the match for the University of Miami. Here's Gilchrist. A touch to EY. Nicely from the left to the right. Good chance here for Florida State perhaps. Robbins loses control and Miami will go in the other direction.
And it's a good tackle from Cerna in there because that little back channel through ball was on. So she closed that gap well, made it difficult. But it's, again, something that Miami has to be careful of is Florida State is very dangerous when they have the ball in the final third with different types of player movement and passing. But a good job closing down there.
I don't think Dagenet sent that one to the spot that she wanted it to go, judging by the reaction. Cerna sends it in the direction of Tupper.
But it's the continued theme for Miami. Anytime that they lose a 50-50 ball in the air, it's another chance for Florida State to just get on the ball, get on possession, and Miami has to again defend.
Long ball by the Noles, headed away. Payne. Robbins trying to set up her teammate. Hard hit from behind from the University of Miami.
So a foul on Tupper there. But the idea, again, is it's the same. Anytime there is a 50-50 ball in that middle third of the field and Miami loses it, or they don't win that, bad things happen. So it results in a free kick here. And it's a slow ball. It's tough to ask your center back to get on a full sprint coming back to win that ball, knowing that her job is probably to stay high and occupy the center backs. But in a game where your entire team is defending, you've got to be ready to come back and win those 50-50 balls.
Let's see what Florida State does this time. Try to drive it right through, and it's wide.
And again, part of that is the reason you see a different type of attack there, a different type of free kick, is simply because of how Miami's defended the last several free kicks. They've had a high line. They keep their team on the 18. Dagenet is already standing on her 6, basically daring you to try and shoot it from that far away. Tried a different type of through ball. Ball goes out of bounds, ends up in a goal kick.
Good hustle by Morgan, trying to turn and win a foot race down the sideline. Now you're getting to the part here in the first half, Colin, where you're into the final 4 minutes. Always important, final 4 at the end of the first half.
You hear a lot of coaches talk about the first 5 and the last 5 in soccer of each half, and the importance of not giving up a goal in that time period, not deviating from the game plan, because it's just such a momentum killer. You're so close to the break. You're close to being able to have that time to go talk to your coaching staff, to regroup, and to understand what the next plan is going to be. Really important to not give up a goal. But it's also important to try and get a goal in that time, right? The idea of if you can get some momentum going into the half, you come out in the second half with a lead instead of tied, it kind of changes how you approach that second half if the game is 1-0 or if somebody is 1-up rather than tied.
EY Gilchrist over to Flynn. Flynn trying to slalom through the Miami defense. Gets it right back. Punched away. And now Miami. Tupper. 1-on-3, maybe 4. EY finally gets back. So does Gilchrist for justice.
And it's asking a lot. It's asking a lot of a center forward when she does get the ball as a team is defending and she has no options to try and go forward, to try and do things on her own. And that's, again, something that Miami will talk about at halftime of, do we, when we win possession, do we go forward right away? Do we try and keep it and just take the sting out of the ball? What are we supposed to do when our center forward gets the ball and it's 1-on-4? Because it's probably not ideal to start dribbling, but at the same time, you do eat some space. You do give your defense a little bit of a break.
Vassell tried to head it toward the right wing. Coming up to the 43rd minute in Coral Gables. 7th-ranked Florida State being held scoreless by Miami. Winless so far in the ACC.
And a really solid, so far, first half performance for Miami. I'm sure energized a little bit by being back at home for the first time in a month, having a ton of people in the crowd tonight. But they've done a really good job following the game plan the coaching staff has put together. They've stayed patient defensively. They've been able to press when they need to. And they haven't really given Florida State a lot to work with in terms of shots on goal, which has been a positive thing for Miami.
I think they've been banging the drum on defense.
They sure have. Whether it's them or whether it's the stands, somebody's banging the drum.
"90 seconds to go in the first half in Coral Gables."
And again, as you approach this last minute, if you're, no matter who you are, both teams really want to make sure you're not doing something catastrophic, doing some type of mistake that is going to cost your team a goal to change what you've done this entire first half.
Final minute of play. 44th minute of the first 45. Rusek with a throw-in. Miami a minute away from taking this to the locker room with the game even.
important. 30 seconds left if you're Miami. You stay connected defensively. Don't get out of shape just because you're trying to win the ball and get to the half mark. Just want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, not give up a goal here in the last 20 seconds.
Robbins trying to thread it through. Here comes the opportunity for Florida State. Dagenet comes out.
And I would expect Mel to now kill this clock, send it long, and get to halftime.
Horton nearly got loose on that one at the top of the box. The final couple of seconds will drift peacefully off the clock, and halftime has arrived, 0-all squared. Sebastian He is all set to go. Here come the Noles. Florida State in white. This is Brown, Jody Brown coming to the near side. Echegini was a real factor in the first half. Got the final 4 minutes or so off, so imagine her tank is filled back up and ready to go. She was a very dangerous player. Miami will have to keep a close eye on her.
Absolutely. Most dangerous player for Florida State in that first half by far. Ball at her feet with her movement. She created the most opportunities, drew fouls. She's somebody that Miami is going to need to control in the second half.
As we watch this one with you, Florida State goes left to right.
And an interesting switch just there in the first 30 seconds. If you notice, there were a lot more black jerseys higher up the field than there were in the first half. Part of that, as you could see, there was less white jerseys, which meant Florida State might be thinking we're going to try and play a little bit more direct. But Miami coming out and saying, we're not going to let you just, again, keep the ball, have space. We are going to try and take the game to you.
Salas for Shell. Hurricanes been very stingy here on defense, getting a lot of people around the ball. Good population around the ball tonight.
They have been, and that's part of the key of when you stay compact and stay organized. There are certain areas that you as a defender need to make sure you're either helping your teammate or you're staying with your mark. And what Miami's done a really good job of is in those spaces where they need to help a teammate, they've group tackled, and they've done a very good job of either winning the ball or knocking it out of pressure and giving their defense a chance to reset.
Justice got the start in goal this afternoon. There's a long ball. Shell gets her heel on it.
Not a smart giveaway from Miami through the middle of the field. Again, when you win those 50-50 balls, and when Miami does win them, at times they've been reckless trying to go up through the middle.
Edwards for O'Neal. O'Neal trying to make something happen. The transfer from Villanova. Morgan trying to meet that pass. Here's Brown for Florida State. Brown trying to get to the middle of the field, perhaps trying to get to her left foot. Brown plays it just wide. Too wide into the corner.
And that
has it.
That might be another adjustment that Florida State will make this half, is to say when certain players get the ball, we are going to be more aggressive going one-on-one.
Shell with a knockdown. This could be trouble for Miami.
Referee calls a penalty. Miami is unfortunate there. But there are two back-to-back tackles there. The referee lets the first one go, gives advantage. As you can see here, we're dribbling in. Ball comes off. There's the first bad tackle. Miami, again, kind of late expecting a whistle, and it's a foul in the back from Miami. It's again, that example of you're expecting a call, you're expecting a whistle. If you don't hear it, you got to keep playing. And now an opportunity for Florida State to get on the board.
So the Noles with a chance here for the icebreaker. Will Dagenet be up for the challenge? I believe that is Flynn. And the shot is away, and a goal for Florida State. Heather Payne gets the goal.
It's a well-taken penalty from Florida State. It goes back to shouldn't be in that situation if you're Miami. You have that first foul, it's outside the box, but Payne steps up, calmly puts the ball into the bottom right corner, nice and firm. Not much Mel can do. She guesses correctly, which is great. She gets her hand out there, but anytime a free kick is taken from, or anytime a penalty kick is taken and that ball is put into the corner, there's really nothing a keeper can do.
Heather Payne, her second goal of the season, fourth career goal. So Payne puts Florida State in front in the 47th minute.
And now if you're Miami, this is where the tactics get a little bit more interesting. You know, you played to try and keep Florida State in front of you. You played to try and get that counter to then try and go forward quickly when you had the opportunities. You're now down 1-0. I'm not saying you have to chase the game right now and you have to drastically change what you're doing, but you might be a little bit more aggressive now in when you press and how you press, and you might be a little bit more aggressive in your possession now.
So the fortress finally has fallen for Miami in the 47th minute.
But realistically, if you're Miami, you can still say it's a free kick that beat you. It's not the run of play that beat you. So what you have done so far has worked. It's continuing to work. You just do need to think about how you change and when you change. I'm sure the coaching staff is thinking about, you know, we've put in this plan in practice. We're going to stick with it for some time before we make some adjustments, because it has been working for us. We have gotten opportunities.
Morgan loses it to Payne. Payne gets it right back. Tucker there to intercede for Miami. Jacob's daughter tries to slalom through the midline. Takeaway by Algoa. One goal to none for Florida State on a penalty kick in the 47th minute. Heather Payne, a senior from Ireland. Dagenet. Shell with a chip along the sideline.
And that might be a decision where in the future, later in this game as it goes on, you know, you're playing that direct ball up to a center forward. Maybe you're trying to hit it beyond the center forward this time and really let the lines get higher and then start to press Florida State a little bit more up the field.
There's Flynn with a long cross. Into the 50th minute, one goal to none. Florida State gets the icebreaker on a penalty kick here at Cobb Stadium in Coral Gables.
And Miami slowing down here. That's part of what they probably have practiced all week. It's part of what they've done this entire season, that anytime their goalkeeper gets the ball, slow it down, get up the field, and try and get into the opposing team's final third to create some chances. And if you're Florida State now, the possession that you had in the first half where you kind of knocked it around the back, you used your goalkeeper, midfield, and you really went side to side before going forward, that type of possession now is fine. It's going to work for you. Because even though you're winning 1-0 and you don't want to settle for 1-0, you know that Miami at some point has to chase the game a little bit more, being down 1-0. So the possession that you had the entire first half is going to work for you now a little bit more in the second half.
Good job by Felton. To the middle for Edwards. Takeaway by Florida State. And now the Noles, make it 3-on-5 with a chance here. And Taylor Shell is there at the last second. Brown made a quick move for Florida State.
But it's another example of a bad turnover in the midfield. Florida State running at you, defense on their heels, and Florida State has so many people that can put the ball in the back of the net that it makes it difficult to figure out who to defend, when to tuck in, when to stay wide. And now a set piece that Florida State has scored many goals on this season.
Florida State has used a lot of players tonight. Player that we highlighted at the beginning of the game, Nesbitt, has played 31 minutes. Played the first 31. Here's a corner. Florida State has so much depth. If you take a player like Nesbitt out and perhaps bring her back later in the game.
You have the luxury to do that as this team. Defending national champs for a reason. You have talent up and down the roster, people that can contribute. There's a reason that they have so many players with at least 2 or 3 goals on the season. It's flexibility for a coach.
Brown on the attack.
And Miami's made a switch. They brought Taylor Shell over to play left back. She started at right back to start of the second half to try and provide a little bit more pressure anytime Brown gets the ball, make it a little bit more difficult for her instead of having an easier pass to the goal.
Flynn gesturing for the ball. Instead, Florida State plays it all the way to the back for Justice.
You've seen now a couple really good examples of Florida State getting forward rather than with the little possession they had in the first half, being more direct, playing ball into feet, skipping the midfield line, and saying, let's get it to our forwards and our midfield can then go and help.
Sometimes you wonder if Florida State overpasses.
You do. You think sometimes it's great to keep possession. It's nice. You don't have to defend. Nobody likes to defend. But at the same time, if you overpass, you're never really going to get the ball on target. Now, luckily, on the season, Florida State hasn't had that issue. They've been fine, but tonight it has certainly been a time where, they knock the ball around and they maybe don't need to. So playing a little bit more direct in the second half has been their friend.
I mentioned Nesbitt a minute ago, and she's right there in the middle for Florida State, directing and distributing the ball. We haven't seen Neiswanger for a while.
No, but it goes back to, again, the depth that this team has, that you can take your player who leads your team in assists and is your ultimate creator off of dead balls and set pieces, and she hasn't stepped on the field tonight, and Florida State has still looked dangerous on those set pieces.
Nesbitt tries to get it to the near side. A pass intended for Algoa.
And a good win on that 50-50 challenge from Taylor. She steps in, is first to the ball, gets fouled. Good win. You can see her now going back over to the right, switching with Emma. And an opportunity here now for Miami with Florida State having a throw in deep in their end. Can Miami step up, not let Florida State get out, and try and get a turnover and go to goal?
A couple of subs now for Florida State. Lauren Meeks will enter the action for the University of Miami. Amelia Horton for Nesbitt.
Good pressure from Miami, earns a throw in out of it. You're in Florida State's final third. Can you make something happen and go to goal?
By the way, we don't have any report about Neiswanger today. So far, a coach's decision.
And it might just be a scheduled rest game, going back to what we mentioned earlier, maybe kind of looking at this opportunity on the schedule to rest some players and get ready for the next 2 matches, Virginia, Notre Dame, which we pointed out, but haven't needed her tonight. But Miami still fighting, doesn't matter who's on the field, doing what they need to do to stay in the game.
Salas for the University of Miami. 1 goal to none, Florida State on a penalty kick. Otherwise, Miami's played them so far on level terms here this evening. Now the Noles on the advance. Miami trying to get back quickly, and right there is Dagenet.
And you've seen a lot tonight, those final passes for Florida State have been a little off, or they've just been missing. And a lot of that is credit to the way Miami has been able to defend, how they work together as a team, they move together, good pressure from the midfield when they need it. It's been really positive for Miami in that sense.
This one flicked off the end of the foot. A little frustration there for Olsen.
And again, it goes back to Miami just kind of doing everything they need to keep the team in front of them, content to have Florida State have possession in that middle third. But once they enter Miami's defensive area, Florida State gets a little bit frustrated that final pass is not there.
Turner will have the throw in. So far, 4 shots by Florida State. 8 fouls by Miami. Florida State with 2 corners. Miami doesn't have a corner kick tonight.
No, but that's part of their game plan. They know when they're trying to go forward. They know what they're looking to do. Earning a corner is probably something they would like, but not something they're trying to draw up. Free kick opportunities, though, outside the box are something that they would hope for. They did have a couple opportunities in the first half, haven't had one yet in the second half, but we'll see. Still about 30 minutes left in this one.
Turnover by Florida State. Just off the end of the foot. Now Cerna. Mahmoudpour for Miami has good speed.
And it's one of those changes that we said as Miami needs to start chasing the game a little bit more. Maybe this is one of those changes that coach looks at and says, somebody that gives me a different element up top, a different dynamic to try and get forward, put some pressure on Florida State's defense.
Mahmoudpour and Morgan both have good speed, clever with the ball, and perhaps they can find a little bit of a crease, a little bit of a break in the Florida State defense.
And that's all you need. You just need that one opportunity, or even that one half opportunity where you get something on target. Never know what can happen. Justice hasn't really been tested tonight. A couple times that she has been. She's done well, but hasn't held it. Might be an opportunity for Miami to get forward, put something in the back of the net just from hard work and those opportunities. Miami presses in bunches when they get the shirts forward and they're able to not let Florida State just ping the ball around the back. Good things come from it. They earn throw-ins. Florida State turns the ball over. And that's been really positive for Miami. And you wonder if, again, with about 30 minutes left, are we going to see more of that? Are we going to see them press higher up the field and force Florida State into more mistakes, or Florida State to play it long?
Trying to try to get that one into Meeks. There's Sarah Barnes, head coach of the University of Miami. 2018, Miami pulled the upset over Florida State. 1 goal to none.
Upset tonight's going to require 2 goals from this team, but capable of it if they keep that pressure on, play higher up the field, and trust in the work they've put in this season.
30 minutes to do so. Mahmoudpour trying to break free the shackles of the defense of Florida State and gets one toward the near post.
And it's just good sustained work, very quick feet, able to get in and out of trouble, win the ball off a little tackle, very solid. She'll want the cross to be a little further away from the keeper next time, but here she has 2 or 3 around her. Nice little turn, clever touch to her right foot, sends the ball in. If that ball's just a little bit further out, closer to the 6, you've got 2 players running on that can put it in the net.
Korowitz does a good job of winning the ball in the air. Good job with the header. Korowitz was right there. 1 goal to none, Florida State. Scored here early in the second half on a penalty kick. Florida State looking for a little more breathing room. Miami trying to keep this close so they can get an equalizer.
And you've seen over the last few minutes, there has been a little bit of changes with the subs that Miami has made. They are trying to play a little further up the field. They're trying to be a little bit more aggressive going to goal, knowing that it is only 1-0. This is not a game where Florida State put 2 or 3 in the back of the net and you feel like it's over. You're right in this game. You've done everything that's been asked of you. You followed the game plan, and you're in it with a top 10 team in the country, and you have opportunities to try and go get something.
Megan Morgan trying to stay with it. Takedown from behind. Felton doing some good work. Now the Hurricanes going the other way. Meeks stabbing at it, and I believe we got a foul on Florida State.
Free kick for Miami, another set piece opportunity here to go forward, set something up, put something on target or around the target for us to run onto. If you look, Florida State's going to have a high line similar to Miami. Justice here, getting her defense organized, wants a wall set up out near the ball to make it just a little bit difficult, so there's nothing as direct coming on target.
Justice from Lakewood, Ohio, also IMG Academy. For Miami here is Salas. Salas toward Justice in the far post. It reaches up and snatches it out of the air.
Kind of a quick free kick taken from
I thought so
Miami.
also, yeah.
Really quick, looked like a wall wasn't set up. They didn't ask for the full 10. It's not a bad ball, all things considered, but if you look at the Miami runs, a lot of them are going toward the middle or the near post rather than that far one. So a little bit of confusion, maybe a missed opportunity, but the fact that you earn a free kick and that you're able to get something going toward Florida State's goal is encouraging.
Florida State with 2 outstanding goalkeepers. Okay, not playing tonight. Cerna for Miami, off the right foot. Tries to curl it in. Morgan trying to get there first. Takeaway by Florida State.
And this is what you don't want. Florida State running at your back line, tons of space.
Brown has choices, left and right. Shot in, a goal for Florida State. All night long, Echegini has been a factor and puts Florida State in front by 2 goals to none with a strong finish and an outstanding play. Others say no goal.
Looks like it went wide, hit that
Maybe it
side
went wide.
netting.
Okay. Looked like optical illusion, we'll call it.
Sure did. I thought that went in too, but what a hit. But it goes back to Miami cannot lose the ball in a bad spot. You lose the ball in the middle of the field. You lose the ball in the middle third of the field. Florida State runs at you. You know they're dangerous. They have people that can score. Miami very fortunate that there was an optical illusion here.
Had it up on the goal, on the scoreboard.
Fooled everybody.
So now we're still in the 1-goal game.
But just a great run from Brown. She lays it off very nicely. Echegini, I'm sure, wants that one back, knows that that was an opportunity to make this 2-0.
Well, that was off target, but by not much.
By not much.
Long one by Salas.
And as you have about 25 minutes left in this game, you're kind of getting into that final quarter, so to speak. Really important for Miami to figure out what exactly is the change in our game plan. How high up the field are we going to press? How much are we going to do to get forward and get forward quicker?
But here's another look at it.
And again, Etchegeni does everything right. She lets the ball come across to her left foot. It's a great ball from Brown. Just unfortunate to hit it wide.
Annie Blair comes in for Miami. Morgan with Brown, poking and jabbing. Miami says their ball. Florida State says it belongs to them. Amelia Horton with the throw in for Florida State. Walking up the line. Horton. Tailgated by Mamupor.
And it's good pressure from Miami, forcing Florida State to go all the way back to their keeper, kind of reset the play a little bit.
Justice, 5'9", hometown Lakewood, Ohio. Cousin of Tim Howard.
Ref just talking to both players there. Looked like Etchegeni slipped as she was pressuring. Mel got caught up in it. No harm there.
Flynn onto the ball for Florida State. Now Justice, 5'9". Oh, a line drive almost right to the Miami player, right to Pitting.
One of the first.
Here's a breakaway, and Dagenet comes out.
One of the first long balls from Justice that wasn't pinpoint or something that she wanted to do. Missed opportunity for Miami to collect the ball and go at the net. But another close one here for Florida State. We talked about them maybe playing a little bit more direct this half, getting rid of playing the ball through the midfield, an opportunity for them. Dagenet does a great job coming out and getting out of trouble.
Yeah, they have stretched Miami out a little bit here in the second half.
They've done a good job, and that's part of why the reason they're a top 10 team in the country is they can play different ways, they can adapt, they can beat you different ways. And that's something that, they have probably been coached on a lot this season with the different opponents they play. I'm sure they play teams that love to sit back, pack it in, and dare them to come forward and beat them. And they probably play other teams that are high pressing. So their ability to adapt, move the ball around the field, and get many different players involved is why they haven't lost this year in a year and a half.
One goal to none for Florida State. Looked like it was 2 goals to none. Big sigh of relief, by the way, on the Miami side after the off-target shot. I thought Dagenet was digging that ball out of the back of the net.
Miami fans are glad she wasn't, that's for sure, because it was a missed opportunity for Florida State to put another one on the board that, in all honesty, they should have.
Here's a long ball. My goodness. Justice could punt for the Florida State football team. Zapay, good work from the right to the left. Horton out wide.
You can see Miami sitting behind the ball. All 11 now are back, condensed, trying to make it difficult.
Florida State looking for some breathing room right here. Up by 1 goal. 72nd minute.
It's a lovely little through ball to the corner.
Horton back to the far post. Got Miami on their back foot here.
And this is where we talked about all this possession, all the player movement that Florida State does. This is where you can really see it, where they have almost their entire team in the attacking third to try and go forward.
Referee says play on. Hurricanes trying perhaps to set up a bit of a counterattack. Cerna gets by one. Short pass for Meeks. Middle of the field.
It's a lovely little build-up again from Miami to try and get out of pressure. That last touch, though, trying to switch the ball to the side, really important to keep possession.
Nice collection by Garcia, a freshman from Las Vegas. Nesbitt to the middle. Oh, Florida State with a good chance here. Garcia slaloms in and perhaps was offsides.
She was, but that's the movement, that's the run that Florida State is looking for. They're trying to drag you wide. We talk about player movement. Timing just a little bit off, a little bit behind the line for Garcia. But that's the movement. She opens up wide, knowing that it's going to draw a defender out and draw a little bit of space, and then she immediately slants inside to get that ball.
Florida State now up to 5 shots. Alagoa back in for FSU. Throw in on the near side by Amelia Horton. Olsen out, Purcell in.
As you come up to 15 minutes left in this game, I would expect to see Miami start to get up the field a little bit more, kind of push the issue, press Florida State's back line. And as that happens, look for Florida State, as they have possession, to try and play in between those open spaces that are caused by Miami pushing up. It's going to create some gaps. It's going to create some nervy moments for Miami defensively if Florida State is able to keep it in turn. But if Miami does correctly what they're probably trying to do, they're going to create opportunities in the final third against Florida State.
Alagoa goes down in the box off a chip. I think we might have had knee to knee here.
Yeah, it looks like tough contact, knee to knee. Not a foul on anybody. Takes a touch, ball's popping up in the air, both players going for it, and you bang knees, and it's not a fun collision for anybody.
Adriana Cerna with Alagoa. That'll stop the clock. 75th minute, knocking on the door. 1-goal-to-none lead for Florida State.
And an opportunity for players to kind of catch their breath, to talk about what's left in these 15 minutes. You can guarantee that some of the players are going over, talking to their coaches, trying to make sure they understand what the game plan is for the last 15 minutes, any adjustments that need to be made.
The only goal so far of the game. Penalty kick by Florida State.
Good to see her walking off on her own power. Looks like she's going to try and come back on once referee puts the ball in play. But immediately a free kick opportunity here for Florida State. Set piece, we've talked about it all night. They're dangerous on set pieces. They have a lot of players that go forward. They're very good at placing the ball where it needs to be. Miami needs to be careful here, making sure that they're marked up, making sure that they're giving Mel the space that she needs to come out and collect a ball and set up everything she needs in front of her.
Critical juncture of the game. 75th minute, clock running. That one driven too far. Not much of a threat.
trying to whip it into that far post, try and cause some confusion, players running on, see if Mel's going to make a touch and send it over the bar. Ultimately a little too high, a little too far, but the idea is there, play that back post, a dangerous driven ball in.
That one came up a little bit too short for Dagenet. Now Florida State with a chance to attack as they advance. Shell a throw in for Miami. Tupper trying to fight her way down the field. Rusek. Nesbitt for Florida State. Knowles are on the move. Looking to get a little separation. Big chance here for Florida State. In the box, then out.
What a chance for Florida State to continue to have possession in the Miami third. They're not going to rush it. They're going to keep the ball. They're going to try and draw Miami out and create those little spaces and runs that they love so much to turn and go to goal.
Garcia, 1-on-3. Nesbitt trying to get to her left foot. Here's a knuckleball off the top of the crossbar. Second chance, knuckles away.
It's a great reaction save from Dagenet. She gets her hand on it. Ball kind of takes a turn where she's not expecting it. Great play from Florida State. Ball gets out wide, gets whipped in, takes a deflection. Mel gets a hand on it, gets off the crossbar. It's great all the way around from the players involved. But Florida State, we talked about it again. They get this possession in the Miami third. It makes it very difficult to mark, very difficult to understand what you're supposed to do when they start moving the ball around and they start moving players.
Corner kick comes in. Fisted away by Dagenet.
And a good punch. That's one that, as a goalkeeper, you're really happy about. Gets out of trouble, goes all the way out for a throw-in. Your defense, again, can reset. Throws typically are not as dangerous as corners, so a really good punch to get out of trouble.
If Etchegini doesn't get one tonight, she's had two good opportunities. One we thought was in, the second one almost in.
Too many tonight. If you're Miami, you know how good she is. You know that she's been pressuring all night and hope to keep her off the scoreboard.
There's a rocket that goes wide as we approach the 80th minute. Florida State putting some pressure on Miami. There's another look at it.
And it's a great shot. She's about 25 yards out, takes a great prep touch that sets it up right to her right foot. And as you notice, the ball is not spinning at all. She hits it dead in the middle of the ball. That's why that ball is kind of knuckling a little bit. Just wide, but really well struck. Good first touch, good positioning.
Dagenet gets that one to the midline. Oh, Miami might have something brewing here.
A lovely little ball
Tucker
out from Felton.
For Korwitz, getting wide. Tucker 1-on-2 has the ball taken away.
And that's unfortunate. Felton, as you see, defending there. Great ball out. But now here's Florida State again. So dangerous coming forward when a defense has to be on their heels running backward.
Florida State goes the length of the field. Dagenet on the near post.
Makes a great save. Not as a goalkeeper, you never want to get beat near post, but just a great shot from Bissell. Nice little cut. No foul. She tries to beat her near post and a great save.
I almost feel like Florida State is feeling a little bit of pressure with the 1-goal lead. That they sense that maybe they need a second goal here because they've been pressuring the goal here. Seems like a more sense of urgency as Algoa gets ready to line this one up.
Oh, absolutely. A 1-0 lead, especially against a team that has been so organized and played well all night, is definitely not safe.
Olsen tries to thread one in there. Poked away by Tucker.
And you can see Miami over the last several minutes has been They've been trying to play higher up the field when they do get the ball, but defensively you can see maybe a little bit of cracks right now, maybe a little bit tired from defending and being so organized all night. Tucker trying to keep her team in it, understand there's still a job to do for 10 more minutes, but Florida State has done a great job of sustaining pressure in the second half.
Yeah, we'll see how much huff and puff the Hurricanes have left here in the final 10 minutes. Might be huffing and puffing right now.
You got 10 minutes left, 9 minutes left. Really try and get numbers forward as much as you can. Try and press higher up the field, even if that means leaving your back line a little bit more susceptible to pressure. And one thing that you can see, Miami's moved Taylor Shell up top, someone with speed, someone with energy that's going to fight for every ball, challenge 50-50 balls. She is now up top, normally an outside back, so we'll see how much that pays off.
Jacob's daughter re-enters the fray for Miami. Felton comes in as well. Been a good match here. Miami has played hard and determined. Florida State has been Florida State, workmanlike.
And they've showed why they're a top 10 team and why they've been so good for so long. If you asked anybody on their team or their staff, they would probably say it's not the best game they've played. It's far from it. And that's because Miami's made it very difficult for them. But Florida State is on top. They've figured out a way to be in control of this game with 8 minutes left, which if you ask their coaching staff, that's probably what they expected at this point.
Long ball. Dagenet comes out, avoids a collision. Maybe not. Both got clipped there a little bit.
And it's what we talked about. Miami has changed for the last 8 minutes here. They're going to press higher up the field. They've changed their formations. Justice all night. She's been distributing from her goal box all the way to the other side of the field beautifully. Causes some pressure for Miami. Dagenet earns a free kick. But another great ball out of the back from Justice. And Miami here is, as you notice, there's more shirts forward for them. A little bit of a tactic change. Instead of the 4-3-3 they were playing, has shifted into a 3-5-2 in an effort to have a little bit more forward pressure and to have more midfielders supporting the forwards.
Here's Garcia. Time is a commodity. Time is a commodity of short supply right now for Miami. 7 minutes to go.
And as Miami is pushing up the field and change their tactics a little bit, you're going to see more space. You're going to see a few more gaps in between that. If you're Florida State, when you get possession, those balls that were not on might be.
Here's O'Neal into the box. O'Neal off the left foot. Tried to center that one for Shell.
And a lovely little through ball again from Felton. Her distribution's been great tonight. Good defending from Florida State. She pokes it through with the outside of her right foot. O'Neal runs on, takes a couple touches, trying to draw it back to Taylor. Good defending ultimately from Florida State.
Corner kick coming up for Miami. Will there be late game heroics for the Hurricanes? Lauren Meeks will line it up. Meeks sends it in. Poked away. Felton's got a foot on it. Florida State able to repel Miami and send it out and out of play with authority.
And a very dangerous corner from Meeks, and for the Hurricanes, Justice does a great job. She gets two hands on her punch. Probably not as far as she wants, but she does alleviate some of the pressure.
Coming up on about 5 minutes to go in Coral Gables, a 1-goal-to-none lead for Florida State. Does Miami have a late game rescue in them? They've been patient the entire game, now trying to open things up a little bit.
And the intensity for Miami going forward has picked up. And part of that is the tactic change in going to a 3-5-2 where you're throwing a little bit more number forward. But you also know you're down 1-0 at home with an opportunity to try and get an equalizer when you can.
Penalty kick is the difference in the game right now. FSU, Payne with a goal in the 47th minute. That's the difference right now. Between joy and heartbreak, with under 5 minutes to play.
Again, more purpose from Miami going forward, being more intentional about what they're trying to do and get the ball up the field.
Gilchrist back for FSU. She's been a stalwart back there tonight. But Miami with a late game opportunity.
It hasn't been tested a ton. The back line hasn't been tested a ton, but you can bet these last couple minutes and going into these next 4 minutes that are left in the game, they will be.
Here's a big shot coming, a long shot. Emma Tucker rallies that one over the top of the goal.
And it's always asking a lot from any player when you're 25 to 30 yards out to put a ball on target and to beat a goalkeeper as good as Justice is. Tucker, I'm sure, would say she wants that one back and she could put it on target next time. But it's still a shot and opportunity again for the Hurricanes.
Justice with a powerful right leg sends this one deep down the field. And now Florida State with a chance to perhaps put it away. And FSU averaging nearly 4 goals a game. Been held to 1 goal tonight. That was a penalty kick.
And the great thing about Florida State and the way that they can play is you see Miami is starting to put a little bit more pressure on you. They can drop numbers back and defend and trust, because of the amount of goals per game they can score and the talent that they have, that they can go get another goal here and really put this thing away.
Tucker will pick it up for Miami after some good defending by Felton. Heather Payne right now has her name written in the headlines for Florida State.
And Florida State is under no rush. Anytime a ball goes out of bounds and it's theirs, they'll take their time, milk a little bit of the clock. They're in no desire to play with the ball on their own end at this point in the game.
Jakob's daughter trying to get free. Badgered from behind and fouled from behind.
And a good alleviation of pressure. Miami getting forward, earning a free kick. It's a set piece. Obviously, time is running out, so some urgency here on the set piece. But really important to put that ball where they need it to be.
Under 2 minutes to go. Rusek weighing her options. Rusek with a good strike on the ground. Hitting with a chance here, near post, and a save by Justice.
And a lovely play from Miami on the set piece. You can see everybody starting back post. Got goalkeeper thinking that ball's going back, and instead it's a nice ball on the ground. Pitting collects, turns, beats a couple players, and gets a nice shot off. In the end, good hold from Justice, and she'll slow things down.
That was really well done by Pitting. The freshman got around 3 defenders. That might have been Miami's last roll of the dice. We'll see. A minute to go. Pitting working hard. Miami's got to send something down deep down the field here in a hurry. Florida State holding on to a 1-goal lead. Been a good match at Cobb Stadium in Coral Gables. The defending champs have been tested here tonight.
This Pitting looks like is slow to get up. And with 45 seconds left, Miami having the ball. Going to try and do everything they can to get the ball down the field, something on target.
Shell trying to get free. Salas trying to get a foot on it. 30 seconds to go in Coral Gables. Jakob's daughter. Time running out on Miami's hopes of a equalizer. Florida State looking to remain undefeated. 15 seconds away from that. Justice cradles it, falls down, and that should be it. That was the last hurrah for the University of Miami. Justice, a good job in goal tonight. Florida State's going to win this one on a penalty kick by Heather Payne early in the second half. Good defending by the University of Miami, but Florida State has defeated their rival on the road. Florida State wins. The Fortress fell with about 40 at the 48th minute on a penalty kick by Heather Payne. Your final score in Coral Gables: FSU 1, Miami 0. Back with a wrap right after this.